Tom Wittlin. Which is it? Right hand. Right. Hello, I'm Tom, as he says. The title of the talk is Brands Become Heroes. And I've put it as a discussion introduced by me because I don't really, it's not fact, it's an idea. It's something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I just wanted to talk to some people about it. So, who runs a business? Sorry, a minute. Who runs a business? So, yeah, okay, so there's a few people there. So you're aware that there's a lot of hats you have to be wearing, okay? One of those hats is advertising. Advertising has changed forms in many years, and I wanted to sort of look at the ways that we have changed from what things that we used to talk, how we used to talk to people, to how we're currently doing it, and maybe how we might be doing it. So it's always been about psychology. It's about understanding, getting people to see your way of things, to get them to, it's an idea in your head, you bake it into a product or a service, and you put it out into the world, and you hope when it lands in someone else's head they understand it as well. Classically from Pete now, I don't know if you know. So let's run through some of those things that, some of the techniques that we've used over the years. So fear. Look at that. A little piece of mind from Beretta. That's right. I mean, these are adverts from the 60s or something, but yeah, you know, it's just, you wouldn't see that these days. That's nice. And they didn't even spell tyres right. Saying your baby's going to die if you haven't got Michelin on your wheel. So then we moved into features. There's the font. That really shitted it right. 10 megabyte hard disk for 3495. This presentation's bigger than that. Sometimes they're quite funny. Feature selling. Dream selling. So we tried that. Beauty brands, hair brands, fashion brands, telling you something that if you do this, you own this, you'll become something that you're currently not. But this is nice. Smoke flag, stay slim. I loved it when there was like no rules. They could just do what the hell they wanted, you know? Most recently is this one, which I call Can We Be Mates advertising. So probably innocent, I think, are the people who most likely were the originators, but we've all seen it. Even banks started using it, which is this way of talking to customers like they want to be your friend. This was one that I saw that just made me, came in the box of a pair of shoes, wasn't mine, but thanks for picking me. I'm your new running partner. The people here at Brooks designed me using advanced technologies for cushioning, stability, comfort and speed. So come on, let's get going. 5, 10K run around the block, run happy. You don't mean that. So you're probably thinking, so okay, if it's not one of those things, what is it? Where are we going to go? And before I talk about that, I just want to talk a little bit about culture and people, because really what this is about, it's how do we talk to people, how do we communicate with them? There's a really interesting book that we all read at our last agency called Tribal Leadership, and among other things, it talks about the levels that people fit into culture. So there's the stage 1, which is everything's shit. Everything's shit. Stage 2 is I'm shit. Stage 3 is I'm great, you're shit. Stage 4 is we're great. And stage 5 is anything possible. Anything's possible. So can anyone see themselves on any of those places? Or do you know anyone in any of those places?
Yeah, I'll say 3.
Absolutely. So most brands exist probably in this space here, because really what they're doing is they're saying, we make great stuff, you've got money, buy it. Which is effectively saying, we're great, you're shit. Okay? But some brands are starting to move to that place there, where they're actually doing something beyond just trying to sell you stuff. Some of those brands are like Tom's, not my brand. So for they make like, what was it, espadrilles, I suppose? I don't know if anyone's got a pair. But for every pair that they sell, they make, they give one to a child who needs it. It's their policy, everything, all the time. That's all they do. There's a brand in America called Wittlin, slowly coming over here. They've kind of broken the mould for how we buy clothes. So this is maybe for a jacket, this is on their website, so it breaks down why it costs £265. So it's broken down by materials, hard by labour, duty, transport. Here's the true cost, put the markup in, that's how we got to our price. It's not this arbitrary number like that. 530 quid. Why? We're Gucci. In contrast, this is nice. So Ideal Conceal is a double-barreled 3.380 caliber gun that looks like a phone. So it allows you to take a gun with you anywhere you like, and no one thinks you're carrying a gun. Really, I wrote to them and I said, what? Literally that? What are you doing? Does the world need this? Do you think that's what the world needs? To hide a gun? It's bad enough we've got guns, to make them invisible. But what's the difference between brands like Wittlin and Tom's and what they call Ideal Conceal? So firstly, how do they make you feel? Do they make you feel better or worse? Those brands that you know are doing some good versus the brands that are trying to get you to smuggle a gun through wherever you want. Because the thing is that a brand like Ideal Conceal and many other brands, they focus on money. They're purely focused on profit. And when you know, you can sense that. I mean, they're selling you on features, benefits, and you think there's something in it for you, but ultimately, that's what they're out to do. They're out to make money. Okay? And we can't really get behind that, because how can you get excited and get behind someone who only wants to make money? You're not going to benefit from it other than owning the product. But people that think beyond just profit, that's when you can actually get behind it, because you think they're interesting, they're thinking about things beyond their own needs. It's inclusion. So brands like Tom's and Wittlin, they recognise that there are now 3 Ps, where there used to be just profit. We now have people and planet as well. Most brands only see the profit still, and we know how we feel about most brands, and I'm really sorry because your talk had exactly that picture is him as your social media feed. But I mean, he's an example of a greedy banker that, you know, we've all seen the film, I'm sure, where it's nice. But we can get behind people and planet. We can, because we're humans, and we all, really all we want is to be happy and to get behind things and work together. Otherwise we're all off in our own little things. I've made millions. Yeah, but you didn't help anyone else with it. Who's been in this situation, in the boardroom? Here's an idea, why don't we just do stuff that's going to be really massively successful? So the thing is, when you're marketing in that way, when you're telling your message through features, benefits, fear and mates, you soon run out of ways of telling. Many times I've spoken to people and they're like, oh, we do an email every week, but it's so hard to think of what to say in it. What? When you stop seeing marketing through the lens of features, benefits, fear and fake, a new world can open up. This isn't like some power talk, but when you introduce true creativity into what you do, it breeds authenticity. People just feel it. It comes across in a different way. Here's some examples. Vans, skate shoe company. They found an underground thing in London, like an old disused subway thing, converted it into a skate park, free for all their not customers, just skaters. It's open, just come and use it. They just made it. This is an advert by, how'd you make it play? It did work. Huh?
It should work.
Should it?
Yeah.
I'm pressing.
No.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Virgin.
Hello there, madame. Would you like a glass of champagne? Here's the menu for you.
I would love a salmon fillet.
Lunch is served.
Wow.
There's your in-flight entertainment system. Anything going wrong? Absolutely, sir.
Marry me, Charlotte. Marry me. Marry me, Charlotte. Charlotte.
Virgin Atlantic.
Nice. So what they're doing is they're just making it inclusive. They're bringing people in. It's like, come in and watch a show. We're not charging you. So create the party, invite people in, and then let them enjoy themselves and shut up. Don't try and sell them stuff all the time. There's a book that I recently read by Martin Neumeyer called The Brand Flick. He sort of sets out the idea that the old brand model is a company creates a brand, the brand attracts the customers, and that sustains the company, and it keeps going in that cycle. But what he's saying now is that we're seeing more and more, and I'm sure Mitchell would understand this one, is that the company now creates a customer. You create the type of person that you want to talk to, and then what they do is they build the brand. You let them dictate how it's going to look, how it's going to feel. I mean, all you do is kind of just edge them in a little bit left and right, you know. So your customer now dictates what your brand is, not you. So no more fear, no more fakery, no more features, no more dreams, and no more mates. But does this mean that we all have to become do-gooders? Well, no, not necessarily. These brands, Airbnb, Instagram, Uber, Zappos, they're all brands that are doing this in some way, and they're not telling you who you should be, they're not selling you anything. Well, they kind of are, but what they're doing is providing a great service, so they're looking at people. But what you've got to remember is it's different to being a campaign. So what this is about is your business having this at the core of what it does. So this is an example of a campaign in this kind of thinking.
Are helping young people stay out of gangs by training them as coffee farmers. Follow their story at coffeeversusgangs.com.
So, really great idea, sensational work. Oh no, does that mean I can go through it? Okay, but it is just a campaign. Hats off to them, because I don't want to, you know, they're definitely going in the right direction, but it's not at the heart of what Kenco do. Kenco still make coffee, and they still want to make money. That's their ultimate goal. They're just thinking this will be a way that people might be interested in buying it. Do you see the difference? There's something on the other side, on the flip side, the flip flop. Gandhi's flip flops. Actually, is so. This was a brand created by two brothers whose parents died in the 2004 tsunami, so they were made orphans. They decided, as opposed to starting a charity for orphans, they would do a business, and they made flip-flops, and all the money goes to orphans. Patagonia is another good one. They do constantly doing loads of stuff with helping saving the environment, working outdoors. There's no silver bullet. There is no right or wrong way of doing this, because when we all thought that there was like a standard way, we all sounded like Innocent, we all looked like Apple. So start thinking about your own way and just be you. But because like in real life, we prefer to deal with human beings who genuinely care. We don't want fake people. I don't even know who that is. So like your mum told you on your first dates, just be yourself. Remember that true creativity is authentic. That's what comes through. If you're doing it from there, you're coming from that place. You're not coming from here. Come from your heart. So here's some examples of stuff that we've done. I'll just quickly show you. This was for Hackett. We thought there wasn't enough decent male role models. But really what that's trying to do is exactly that. We recognise that a lot of men, some of the male role models that we see today aren't exactly brilliant. I'm not going to name any names, but you know, it's we've left a time where you had sort of the traditional sort of male thinking that could, you know, teach other men to, as they're growing up, coming through what, you know, what's right, what's wrong. This is another campaign we did, or a site we did, proposal, didn't win it unfortunately, for Timberland, but they said come to us with an idea, so we took this idea of take only photographs, leave only footprints. So they're an outdoor brand. We said let's just, you know, really major on, you know, getting people outdoors, doing things like beach cleanups, that sort of thing, and then if they turn up they get, you know, entitled to discounts and things, and just getting involved with the brand that way, not just saying do you want the new pair of Timberland boots. So there is an organisation that exists called B Corp. We used to be members of it, bcorporation.uk. They're an American company, but they are coming to the UK now. And their whole remit is people using business as a force for good. So they really, really believe that there's things that can be done by businesses that help the world. These are some of the brands that are already involved with it, and there's more growing all the time. So in the future, well, there was another one. Where are we going to go? Well, with things like the recent exit from Europe, all that, it feels to me like we're kind of just a bit done with politics. People aren't really believing in what politicians are saying because we don't care about what politicians are saying. So I'm not suggesting that we're on the edge of a revolution, because I don't know, maybe we are, but I think we're definitely on the precipice of change, and I think something needs to change. And I think that people don't, like I say, the people that are leading us, our countries, we're not really having that much enthusiasm for. If you can think about in maybe 5 or 10 years, this could be the ballot poll thing, but what about if that was the case? You don't really know what Labour are doing, you don't really know what Tories and Lib Dems are up to, but you know that Patagonia want to save the world, and if they want to save the world through selling you a jacket, what could they do if they had the keys to the country? It's no more ridiculous than that, is it? So why should this work? Because firstly, the world is kind of asking us to. I think we're all aware that we're at breaking point when it comes to, you know, what the planet's resources. We're at a breaking point to own all this stuff. People they're on drugs, they're on drinking, and you know, people just feel like there's pressure to own all the time. And to be honest, greed's just not working, so let's get back to living. So maybe 3 things that you might take away from this is that you no longer own the brand like you used to. It's now your customers' hands. So just give them some of the ownership of it. Think of one thing that you could do today with your business, and think not from profit, think planet and people. Is there something you can do? And be brave. Just because it's not been done doesn't mean to say it can't be. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Tom. That was that's a big old subject.
Bit much for 10:30, isn't it? Is that too much?
No, not at all. I think we should be tackling those big things. But as a small business owner, and I think you alluded to it there in the last slide, what is it? How can we, as small businesses, make that first step?
I think that all it is it's thinking about maybe what your customer wants, because I don't believe that you need huge budgets to do this stuff, because you don't. I think as long as that you're coming from that place of, you know, really wanting to help that customer, or thinking of in some way that, you know, when we do things for other people, we get a good feeling from it. That's how the world works. You know, if you only do things for yourself all the time, you just end up being a bit enclosed. But putting things out, and it can just be as simple as somebody orders something from an online shop, give them something extra in there, or you know, send them a little note, a handwritten note in there. You know, anything like that. Because what it's doing effectively, and this sounds really hippie, is putting love out there a bit more, as opposed to I'm just here to make money out of you.
But there can be a bottom line effect. I know the guys at Zappos, and they've invested $350 million of their own money, of Zappos's company money, in redeveloping downtown Las Vegas.
Mhm.
But actually their motivation for doing that was they needed a bigger office. And the biggest office they could find was in downtown Las Vegas. And it was a horrible, horrible place that they couldn't ask their staff to go to. So in order to keep their staff happy and the culture right, they started regenerating. Tom's. You
Yeah.
mentioned Tom's. So they commissioned and published a report last week that said they're giving shoes away made zero impact on the communities they gave them to.
Okay.
Yeah, they commissioned an external company to do it. They wanted to know.
Right.
But what I think,
But when you say zero impact, what does that mean? I mean,
their idea was that it was about putting shoes on the feet of people that couldn't afford them.
But surely if there's someone who hasn't got shoes, now he's got a pair, that's an impact.
Yeah, well, this report was set from, and Tom's was the one that published it.
Right.
But they said, actually, fine, we'll change the business model, we'll invest the money. So they're now going in, and rather than giving the shoes away, they're going in and helping build the communities.
Right.
But the fact is that they still want to achieve that aim.
Yeah.
But it's what Puff was saying about monitoring and evaluating.
Yeah.
It's saying, okay, we're not just. But the nice thing is, it's that they had that aim. We want to do something for the community. We're going to try this.
And they've still.
We're going to check to see if it works. It's not working. We're going to change it. We're going to do something else.
Yeah. And the point is, it's not what you do; it's where you're coming from.
It's the motivation.
Yeah, completely. And that's what we want to try and encourage people to sort of look at a bit more.
Fantastic. Right. Thank you. I'm hoping